Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. Have you ever witnessed a story so tragic, so powerful, that it feels almost too haunting to be real? Today we uncover the final moments of Menglong, a beloved actor whose life ended in circumstances that continue to shock the world. What really happened inside those hospital walls? Stay with us, because this story is not just about loss. It's about truth, resilience, and the legacy of a man who left far too soon. In the early hours of that morning, Beijing Central Hospital became the stage for one of the most heartbreaking struggles imaginable. The stillness of dawn was shattered by hurried footsteps, echoing down sterile corridors, and the sharp, urgent voices of medical staff as they prepared to confront the unimaginable. Menglong, once a symbol of elegance, talent, and composure in the world of entertainment, was wheeled in on a stretcher. But the man who had graced television screens with such effortless charm was now a fragile figure, unrecognizable even to those who adored him. His body carried the marks of violence and despair, yet it was his eyes that unsettled those who witnessed his arrival. They were not merely the eyes of a man in pain, they were the eyes of someone who seemed to know deep down that this was a battle he might not win. Doctors and nurses fought to stabilize him, rushing against time, pressing every ounce of skill into the effort to keep him alive. Machines screamed with alarm, struggling to capture the faint rhythm of his fading heartbeat. Monitors flickered as though life itself were hesitating, unsure whether to remain or to depart. And yet, amid the chaos, there was an almost unbearable silence, the silence of anticipation, of dread, of hearts held in suspension. Witnesses later spoke of how he tried to move his lips, attempting to form words that could have been a name, a plea, or perhaps a secret meant to outlive him. No sound escaped, but the effort itself was haunting. It was the gesture of a man desperate to leave behind a final truth, a fragment of his soul before time ran out. This moment, more than the machines or the medical procedures, defined the atmosphere in that hospital room. It was not just a fight for survival, but a confrontation with betrayal, with the cruel weight of circumstances that had led him there. To those who stood by his bedside, it was clear that Menglong was not only battling for his life, he was grappling with the realization that he had been pushed into a fate far darker than anyone could have foreseen. His presence filled the room with both courage and fear, a stark reminder that even in the face of unimaginable suffering, the human spirit still strives to hold on, still reaches for meaning, even as the world begins to slip away. Doctors worked with relentless determination, refusing to surrender to the despair that hung in the air. Each second felt like an eternity as they pushed back against the inevitable. His heart faltered once, twice, and again, and every time the room was thrown into chaos. The crash of defibrillators, the desperate calls for medication, the pounding rhythm of compressions, all of it collided with the hope that perhaps this time he would return. And each revival brought a brief flicker of life, fragile and fleeting, as though they were holding smoke in their hands. Those who stood closest could not forget the image of his lips moving faintly, forming shapes that would never become sound. Was he trying to call for someone he loved? Was it a plea for help, or perhaps the name of the one who betrayed him? The uncertainty deepened the anguish, leaving everyone haunted by the words that were never spoken. The horror of the moment was not only in his silence but in the evidence written across his body. The injuries were brutal, far exceeding what could be explained by a simple fall. His ribs had shattered, piercing into tender flesh. His spine bore the weight of irreversible damage. His skull carried fractures that spoke of violence before the fall ever happened. These were not the wounds of misfortune but the scars of cruelty, inflicted with intention. Beneath the harsh fluorescent lights, the truth began to reveal itself piece by piece, and with every discovery the atmosphere grew heavier. What struck the medical staff most deeply was the paradox of his condition. Though his body was collapsing, he seemed to cling fiercely to consciousness, his eyes rolling restlessly as if searching for an anchor in a sea of chaos. It was as if he wanted to remain awake, to bear witness to what was happening to him, to refuse the darkness until the very last moment. That stubborn resilience, that refusal to let go, was both heartbreaking and inspiring. Even in silence, even when his body betrayed him, Menglong carried the weight of his truth with a dignity that could not be erased. In those haunting minutes, it became clear that this was more than a medical battle. It was the last act of a man determined to resist, to speak without words, and to leave behind a memory that would echo long after his final breath. Imagine standing at the edge of a room where life and death collided, where every sound carried the weight of desperation, and every breath became a question of survival. In that sterile ward, Menglong's body fought against collapse. But what left the deepest mark was not simply the violence written across his skin. It was the expression in his eyes, a raw reflection of fear, sorrow, and unspoken truths. Witnesses described how his chest would suddenly rise in violent gasps, as though his spirit refused to surrender, followed by stretches of stillness so long that even seasoned doctors feared it was the end. And then, just as hope seemed extinguished, a faint pulse would return, fragile and fleeting, reminding everyone that he was still clinging to the world. One surgeon later confessed that what haunted him was not only the broken body before him, but the silent plea radiating from the young man's gaze. It was not just pain that twisted his features. It was terror, the unmistakable terror of betrayal. Menglong seemed to understand, even in his weakened state, that the path before him had been cruelly shaped, that he was not in that bed because of fate but because of deliberate choices made by others. The look in his eyes spoke volumes, a testimony beyond words, conveying the agony of someone who had been wronged, someone who knew the truth but would never have the strength to voice it. What pierced the hearts of those who watched was the resilience that lingered within him. His body may have been shattered, but his spirit resisted erasure. In every fleeting revival, he appeared to grasp at the chance to say something more, to leave a final mark, to reach out toward a truth that remained locked inside him. The nurse who leaned closest swore she saw his lips form the faintest outline of a word, but the silence that followed was deafening. That silence became a burden to all who were present, an unfinished sentence that would haunt their memories. These final moments carried a weight that went far beyond tragedy. They revealed a man stripped of everything yet unwilling to let go without a fight. They revealed the loneliness of betrayal, the strength of defiance, and the fragility of life caught in the balance. In Menglong's silent struggle, there was both heartbreak and inspiration. A reminder that even at the edge of death, the human spirit searches for meaning, refuses to be silenced, and leaves behind echoes that endure long after the final breath. The forensic findings only deepened the mystery. Marks on his wrists, older bruises, and microscopic scratches on his fingernails revealed that he had fought. He had resisted. Menglong did not simply fall. He struggled until his last breath. For fans, this revelation is devastating, but it also transforms his story into something larger. A call for justice, a wake-up call to confront the hidden shadows of the entertainment world, and a lesson in resilience. Because behind the headlines and the speculation, there was a man, a son, a friend, a dreamer, whose life and courage deserved to be honored. Yes, Menglong's final moments were horrifying, but they also remind us of something profound. That truth, no matter how deeply buried, will always find a way to the surface. That even when a voice is silenced, its echo can inspire millions. And that while a life may end, a legacy, built on talent, courage, and love, can never be erased. Thank you for watching this story with us on Update X24H. If Menglong's journey touched your heart, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and stay with us as we continue to bring you stories that matter, stories of truth, resilience, and inspiration. Because every voice deserves to be heard, and every story deserves to be told. See you in the next video.